Hi, I'm Eric.
And I'm Laura. We're a couple who stepped away from the default version of success after questioning the traditional path and realizing the life we were building looked right on paper but didn't feel the way we thought it would.
Join us for honest conversations, grounded perspective, real life experiences, and a refreshing take on what it means to live life on your own terms.
One of the biggest misconceptions we've had in our own lives is believing that clarity comes before action. For a long time, I thought if I just thought about something enough, researched it enough, or waited long enough, eventually I'd arrive at this moment where everything would make sense. Like I'd suddenly know exactly what I wanted, exactly what the right decision was, exactly what the next 5 years were supposed to look like. And then I'd feel confident enough to move. But when I look back, I honestly can't think of many important decisions in our lives that actually happened that way.
I can't either, and that's because we tend to treat clarity like it's something you find, like it's sitting somewhere waiting for you to discover it. But most of the time, that's not how it works. Most of the clarity I've gotten in life came after making a decision, not before making one.
That's exactly it. People imagine clarity as this feeling of certainty. Like one day you'll wake up and just know. You'll know what career you want. You'll know where you want to live. You'll know what the next step is. But I don't know many people whose lives actually unfolded that way.
Most of the people we know figured things out by moving toward something, not by sitting still long enough to solve it in their heads. And that's where people get stuck. They keep waiting for clarity to give them permission to start, when a lot of the time, starting is what creates the clarity.
All right, is it just me or does the timing of this topic feel so divine?
It hits the nail on the head
Right?
for us right now.
When, like, before we sat down to record, I wanted to just kind of, like, obviously look to see what we were talking about. And the second I read the title, you don't have to have it figured out to start. It was just like this, oh my gosh, like, this is exactly what I need to hear today. And, you know, we're in a very busy season of life.
A very
I've actually
full season.
yeah, I have stopped using the word busy and really like been focusing on a mindset shift to using the word full instead. And kind of the reasoning behind that is, you know, it's very easy to default to the I'm so busy. Life is so busy.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally feel that the word busy has a very like negative meaning. Like it's always said whenever I've said like, oh, you know, life is good, but it's busy. Like it's always this kind of like life is great, but it's not kind of meaning.
Yeah.
And so recently I had that mindset shift to life is full. And the way I like to think about it is, you know, full is typically a positive thing. I think of it specifically in terms of like a plate full of food.
Okay.
A full plate of food is an absolute blessing. And often when our lives feel full, even if they feel like they're busting at the seams, if you think about the things that are filling your life, chances are a lot of them are things that you have been praying for. And I think that's a really cool mindset shift to have. So yes, we are currently in a very full season of life and we have a lot on our plate that is really kind of putting us in that beginner seat again.
Mm-hmm.
So the plate is full, but it's full with things that we are just learning for the first time. And that's why, like I said, when I saw the topic of today's episode, it was just like, whew, I feel like this one is going to slap hard. And just the timing of it is great. So I'm excited to dive in.
Yeah, I mean, what you just said about, well, the title of this episode is you don't have to have it all figured out. And being that beginner again. We literally just had a conversation yesterday with one of our friends about, you know, being a beginner at something really sucks.
It does.
Especially like
absolutely
like
does.
when you are older, being that beginner at something, being new to something, having to learn something that first time, you slog through it, and
Yep.
it just sucks.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those things where being a beginner again means that you are accepting the unknown, you're accepting the uncertainty. Really have no idea when you're starting something new how it's going to unfold.
Mm-hmm.
If it's going to unfold the way that you have kind of like painted the picture of in your head, if it's going to unfold, the complete opposite of that, if it's even going to unfold at all. And I think that's a hard thing to accept, I would say, especially as an adult and as I get older, at least. I feel like we were taught at a young age that good decisions come from certainty.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's never...
Nothing is certain.
Nothing's certain in life, but I feel like that's never been the case for me.
Right.
Like...
Honestly, some of the best decisions I've made are because things aren't certain.
Mm-hmm. I agree. There's this idea that you should have a plan before you take action. And I mean, this is coming from a girl who loves a plan.
Oh, yeah.
I love to know what's going on, what's the strategy, what's the, how am I getting from A to Z kind of thing. But something that I have really learned over the years is that the best laid plans, you might as well throw them out the window before you even start.
Right.
Because when does stuff actually go according to plan?
I remember we took a day trip or a overnight trip to Pittsburgh.
Yes, I remember this.
And we went down there for whatever reason. And
No, we were young. We were in our 20s.
Yeah.
It was when we were about to move in together. We went down to IKEA because that was the closest IKEA to where we lived.
And IKEA is, I don't know how many miles north of Pittsburgh. And we were just like, well, why don't we just make a night of it? So we drove down into Pittsburgh, and you were like, well, what are we going to do? Where are we going to stay? What, we have nothing planned out. And I'm like, well, figure it out, So we pulled into a hotel, walked into the lobby and said, hey, do you guys have any rooms available? And they were more than accommodating. It was so interesting to see how
I responded to that.
Yes, exactly.
I would imagine at the time it was very uncomfortable for me. But it was the first of many, leap before you really know where you're going for me. And, I feel like along the lines of, this, just, what we are taught about decisions and certainty, there's just this pressure, I think, to know exactly what you want before moving toward anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can count probably at least a handful of instances when I was in my 20s, especially post-college, kind of figuring out where I fit in the world, where I did feel that pressure. I didn't feel like I could make a move without actually knowing, where I was moving to and what I was heading toward. And it's a tough place to be in because I think on some level we recognize that so much of life is uncertain.
Mm-hmm.
And yet at the same time we want guarantees before making a decision.
Right. Yeah, I was just going to say, people want to know the outcome before they take the leap.
Right. And I think the biggest thing that boils down to, I do feel like this is kind of the surface level reason in all of the personal growth work that I have done on myself over the years. I've realized that, your initial reason usually can go 10 plus layers deeper.
Mm-hmm.
But it's this fear of making the wrong choice.
Okay.
And I'm not really sure where that fear for, many people comes from. I think it's just kind of all, intertwined with the belief that good decisions come from certainty. But
I mean, it really comes down to people don't like to be uncomfortable.
Right. But, I can honestly say of all of the choices I have made in life, Did I maybe make some wrong choices? Yeah, probably. But
But
they're a part of my story, and
right.
regardless of whether the choice I made at the time was the best choice for me or not, I learned something from it.
So it may have looked like the wrong choice immediately after, but now when you look back on it, like, however long ago you thought that was the wrong choice, it's really just it's not even a wrong choice. It's just a different path.
Mm-hmm. It's just a
That you
choice.
Yeah,
It's neither good nor
exactly.
bad.
You put the right or wrong to it.
Right.
It is just like you said, it is just a choice.
Yeah.
It is not
Yes, I assigned meaning to it when
exactly.
it's a neutral thing. But I think a lot of people get stuck. I know I certainly have, but like get stuck in this place of like overthinking a decision. And I think that like overthinking is a disguise for preparation, for feeling like, oh, I'm not ready yet, or oh, if I just have a little bit longer, I'll feel ready.
Or if I have a little bit more information
I'll
on the
feel
thing.
ready.
Yeah.
I feel like I never feel ready. Like in
Right.
anything that I do. Like, and I wouldn't even say it's this like bit of self doubt ever. I mean, sure, sometimes it absolutely is, but I feel like I've just developed this ability, I suppose, to just like take the leap.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's just like I have faith that like no matter how far the leap is, like I will be caught.
Yeah.
Even
So
if even if that leap is like a leap in the wrong direction. Again, there's no right or wrong when it comes to this.
mhm.
It's just how big is the lesson going to be that I'm about to learn?
I like that. I like that reframe. So where did we learn this, or where do people like learn this, that they have to have it all figured out before they start?
I mean, I my first thought is like we learn it from our parents. We learn it from the people in our lives that we spend the most time with, especially at those young, impressionable ages.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it just kind of compounds from there to what we're taught in school.
Always comes back to school.
And then what we're taught as we're about to embark into our adulthood journey.
Okay.
And if you never question it, it's just what you kind of assume. Like I would say that just all falls perfectly in line with like the safe traditional path.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. I can absolutely see that. Yeah. You
What
know,
about you? I mean, where do you think that people learn that?
I agree. I think it is definitely when we're at that impressionable age of, don't do this because, whatever the reason is. Obviously, don't touch the hot stove or else you're going to burn
Right.
yourself.
That is specifically said to keep you safe.
Exactly. But
But how far does that safety belief
mhm.
actually go for a lot of people?
And so to answer that, I think it goes pretty far down in and what I mean by that is I think a lot of people don't want to unpack it and really dive deep into, well, do I really need more information, or should I just start the damn thing?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that is, the business, the new job, a relationship, end it or start it. You know, you don't need more information to make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, if you make the decision to start and go, stay, leave, whatever it is, and your outcome may not be in your favor, well, then you learned a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
So, why do you need more information? And I'm shoulder shrugging right now. So,
Right.
I don't know, and that's what I'm getting at. Like,
Yeah.
so,
No, I get that. Well, and I think along those same lines, people feeling like they need clarity first before taking action or making that big decision. There's this myth that you have to, we'll say, find yourself. But what I really mean by that is like you need more self-awareness before taking action. And I don't think that that is true, because I think, at least in my own personal experience, self-awareness for me has always come from experience.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to get experience is to actually take action.
Is by actually doing it. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, we learn in general by trying things. But like, I know for me, like, I've learned so much just in trying things, like, to see if it's something I even like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how are you going to know if you like something? For example, how are you going to know if you like to travel if you never travel? How are you going to know if you like to sew or knit or crochet, insert hobby, if you never try it? You can't just watch a video and decide, oh, I like this. Like, you actually have to get your hands in, get
Right.
your body into the
Mm-hmm.
experience to know.
I think this goes back full circle to the beginning of this episode is because people don't like to suck at new things. So the trying new things, like you said, hobby, knitting, sewing, whatever it is, you're probably not going to pick something up like that and be an expert.
Oh my
So you're
goodness,
going to be a
no.
beginner, you're going to suck, but if you're having fun with it, or if you can see like you can see it at the end, or see like the product or the thing that you're creating, and you're like, I feel more relaxed, I feel better after I'm doing whatever it is, well, keep going with it.
Right. A great example of that for me was actually last summer. I decided that I wanted to learn how to sew. And so I was very fortunate that you are somebody who just like picks up on things so quickly. And you had been using our sewing machine for a few years prior
Mm-hmm.
to me deciding I wanted to try my hand at it. And it was hard. Like, I still don't think, it's been a while since I've actually like pulled out the sewing machine and sat down to make something. Will it come back around for me? Yeah, absolutely. But it was so hard. And like, that for me was one of the first times in a really long time where I had to be a beginner at something.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what was so cool was, first of all, creating something yourself. I probably bit off more than I could chew for my first project.
Is that the shirt?
It was the
Yeah.
shirt. Like,
Okay.
we made matching button-up shirts for an event we were going to. And if you've ever sewn anything, it
Don't
can be
sew a shirt
challenging,
for the
but like,
first one.
don't sew a button-up shirt for your first one. That is I would say, a very advanced
Yeah.
project. But it was cool because, yes, in the moment you're basically like running, say like you're like assembling a sleeve, but that sleeve then gets attached to the body that you just made, and then you attach the collar, and then you start to like do the buttonholes, and that's probably not the order we went in, but you start to actually see the thing that you're making come to life. And I don't know about you, but to be like, yeah, I made this, what a proud moment. Like, that is just one of the coolest things I think I've ever said, is like, yeah, thanks, I made this. Because in today's world, like, most people don't just like make their own clothes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that was more of a thing back in the day. But it was just such a good reminder for me that like, it is okay to be a beginner. It is okay to kind of like figure it out as you go. And on the reverse side of that, like, you also learn what doesn't fit by experiencing it. I mean, we're not meant to love everything that we try. If we did, we'd all be pretty darn similar, and that would be pretty darn boring.
Yeah, we would be good at everything then.
Mm-hmm.
And we wouldn't need, well, for example, some people don't like to get their hands dirty with like plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
If everyone was good at everything, you wouldn't have plumbers, you wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have electricians, you wouldn't have people building houses, because everyone would be able to do it. But that's not the case. And obviously that's such an extreme example, but like,
Mm-hmm.
to your point, you wouldn't have a tailor, right?
Right.
Obviously, there are some things that I wouldn't even want to take on, like altering a suit. That goes to a tailor. But like, I can hem a pair of pants now,
Mm-hmm.
and I learned, and I kind of sucked at the first one, but maybe the next one will be better. But you know, it's it's the it's the doing that you gain the experience for, for whatever it is, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's incredible. I mean, life is so much more experimental than I think a lot of people want it to be. But I personally think that that's part of the beauty of life. Like,
Hmm.
you get to try things, you get to be a beginner at things, you get to fail at things, you get to learn from things, you really get to figure out what you love. And this applies to anything. This applies to your career, starting a business, hobbies, relationships, places you've lived. Like, there's really no limit to, like, what part of life this kind of mindset touches. And I think that's really cool.
Hmm. I like that. So, out of all of, and I'm going to speak directly to you
Okay.
in this question. So, how many of the things have you learned about yourself after trying them?
Oh, I feel like I'm in the hot seat.
Yeah.
I mean, everything. I don't even think I have enough hands to count that number.
Hmm.
Because honestly, like, it applies to the work that I've done over the years,
Okay.
working for somebody else. It also applies to working for myself. I am now in my second business working for myself. It has applied to various hobbies over the years. My current hobby, which I honestly have not touched in a while, is calligraphy, and my goodness, is it hard. I think I went into that thinking, like, well, I have really great handwriting because I do.
So
This should be
you should
easy.
just be able to step right into it,
Let me
right?
just say, calligraphy is like a totally different way of writing, and like the quality of your handwriting has nothing to do with it.
So you're saying there's hope for me.
There's hope for you. Relationships, absolutely. And I'm not just talking romantic relationships. This could be friendships as well.
Hmm.
And then obviously places we've lived. We've now lived in 2 different states, and we travel full time. So we're constantly changing where we are. And I mean, we've had plenty of places where it's like, it's cool here, but we're probably never going to come back.
Hmm.
And then other places where it's like, we might not come back to this exact city, but let's make sure we absolutely explore other parts of this state or this part of the country.
Well, with that, actually, that good segue of places of living and all that. But it's interesting to say that because, like, we are big fans of exploration.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we wouldn't really be in this lifestyle if we didn't like to explore new areas.
But when you say exploration, I know for me, like, I don't think just of like traveling and moving locations.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's just one part of it.
I'm gonna say I think of the exploration that is life.
Getting super philosophical.
Very much so.
So, I mean, okay, so that then here's the thing is people see it, that exploration of life as a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm going to say this just why? Like, why is that?
I mean, I think a lot of people probably are of the belief that every step they take, every move they make. Yeah, I
There's the
understand
song.
the song reference. I have a knack for that, actually. Fun fact about me. But that every step needs to be intentional, it needs to be productive or even permanent.
Okay, that makes so much sense when you put it like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think a lot of people see that, like, you see somebody who is always trying new things. They're moving from one career to the next. They are moving from one city to the next. They are moving from one relationship to the next. One hobby,
Hmm.
insert specific situation.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people see someone like that and they're like, well, they just can't make up their minds. Like, they're just like plagued by indecision. And I don't think that that's the case.
So it's kind of like a negative stigma that society puts on those types of people.
I would say so. And like I don't know why, but I feel like there's this pressure that like every move you make has to be optimized, and I just don't think that that's realistic. Sometimes you need to do things for the pure joy of it. Not because it makes sense or not
Right.
because it's strategic, but because you just freaking enjoy it.
Yeah.
And
I,
that is totally fine. I think that's beautiful.
and that's where, all of these experiences, you find out you like this, you don't like that. You like to be in this location, or this location you like to stay away from. Those experiences that you gain from, I guess in this case, trial and error,
Mm-hmm.
are so invaluable.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you're literally collecting information with every step you take.
Every move you
pivot.
make.
No, I'm going to say every pivot you make. I'm going to write my own version,
Yeah.
like I've also done before. Every experience you have, like, you're literally collecting information.
Mm.
And I think that information collecting over time, that's what actually allows you to make more informed decisions when it matters most.
That's so cool.
Right?
I love it. I freaking love it.
I'm telling you, the timing of this episode
I
could
know.
not be
I
more
know.
perfect. But I also don't think, I don't see exploration as the opposite of progress. I honestly think you can have quicker progress when you are open to trial and error and trying new things and starting over and pivoting away from and completely changing direction.
We've had plenty of that in the last 6 to 12 months.
We have had the most zigzag journey,
Yeah.
and I think we have made more progress because of it,
Exactly.
personally.
Right. So we did touch on this just a little bit ago, is, having all of these experiences, life experiences, or whatever you want to call them. But you really only learn by doing those things.
Mm-hmm.
So you really only learn these life lessons by actual movement. And just staying still, staying stagnant, staying complacent doesn't give you the feedback that action does.
Mm-hmm.
And I am of the belief, and obviously you know this because of everything that we're doing, but like, I'm of the belief that the more you do, the more you know.
Oh, 100%.
And
the more you grow.
And yes.
I'm like coming in with these bangers
I
today.
know. And with all of that, like we've said before, it's like, we know, sorry, I'm going to phrase this as an I know that the part of Texas that we were in, going into it, I was like, oh yes, this is, I want to buy land here, or, whatever it is. And now I know that after being in that area, not my preference.
Mm-hmm.
And those experiences do show you your preferences on what you like and what you don't like, and what you like I said before, where you want to be, where you want to avoid, people you want to avoid potentially,
Mm-hmm.
people you want to get closer to. It's your experiences refine and hone your preferences.
Oh, 100%. I mean, they also shape who you are.
Yes, very, very true.
That's probably a topic for another episode, but I mean, that is the reality. And like, the only way you can actually figure that out is by doing.
Yes, by doing, not by overthinking.
Mm-hmm.
I used to get into this rut of like having an idea in my head and researching the hell out of it. And I would go down the rabbit hole, and then that rabbit hole would lead me down another one on the same topic, and then down 30 miles deep. And then at the end of like that 2-week exploration of this topic, I would do absolutely nothing with it.
Oh, okay. So interesting. This kind of ties back to what I was saying a little while ago, where you can't watch a YouTube video on birding
Mm-hmm.
and decide if you like it or not.
Yeah.
You have to get out there with your binoculars in nature, looking at the birds, to decide if you actually like it or not.
Right.
So it's interesting that you say that, like, this is something that you used to do often, because essentially what I'm hearing is you would be interested in a topic, you would research said topic, jump down a few rabbit holes, and then it would basically end. So you were actually making your decision based on what you learned by reading or listening, not by actually experiencing in your body.
Correct. And a lot of the things that I would research weren't things that you could really experience. Like,
Can you give us an example
um,
that's appropriate?
yeah. So, for example, so I guess in this case, I could experience it, but the number of steps to get there would be like massive. Like I'd have to buy land. I'd have to prep the land. I'd have do
Are
all
you
these
talking
things.
about like building something, like building a property?
Yeah. So the thing that I went rabbit holing down was like in floor radiant heat for like a shop.
That's so
It
specific.
is so specific, but because I am a nerd, I went so far down this rabbit hole as far as to like part picking and like cost analysis, things like that. And then I did absolutely nothing with it.
So you kind of like got yourself to a place of imagining it, but then taking it a step further and actually like looking into the components that would be required
Yeah.
and where you would get them,
Uh-huh.
etc.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then like in this case, I guess it is kind of good that I've exposed myself to to this because eventually, like I would love to get land. I would love to put a shop on it. That's how I would love to heat the shop, that sort of thing. But I'm obviously not in that position to do that. And this was a couple of years ago that I researched all this. So while I see the benefit now of doing it, at the time I'm just like I just spent like 2 weeks of my life like going so far down this thing, and I'm not going to use it literally anytime soon for years. So not that it's not like what's the point, but it's like I may have used that time not as wisely as I could have.
I appreciate you not saying wasted,
Yes,
because no time is wasted.
exactly.
All time is utilized as it's meant to.
Right.
So here's a question for you, because of what you just walked us through. So you have this situation where you obviously learned a lot, but you didn't learn this through experience. You learned it specifically through research.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you learned by doing that you never could have learned by thinking or just researching? And when I say doing, I mean like hands-on,
Yeah.
in the work.
Ooh. So I'm gonna just rattle some things off. Photography, leatherworking, woodworking, like working on any vehicle that I've ever owned. Like, yeah, you can research the things, you can know how to do it, but until you pull the oil plug or pull the oil filter out of a vehicle and hot oil splashes on you, yeah, it sounds real glamorous in a book.
Mm-hmm.
But until you have hot oil dripping down your arm, that sucks. And you only need to experience that once to know a better way to do it. And so those are the types of things that just immediately come to my head.
Gotcha. And that like oil change example specifically, I feel like that's a great example for like you try it once and you decide if this is something you're going to continue to do or you're going to outsource.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Right.
It's interesting. I think that most people treat uncertainty, which we've been talking on, as something that they need to eliminate.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only way to actually move forward with a decision, to take action on something, to take that next step is to do it if there's zero doubt, there's zero
There's
uncertainty.
zero risk.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
just not realistic. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
uncertainty literally exists in almost every meaningful decision. And it's not a bad thing. There's always going to be that little bit of unknowing how something's actually going to fold out
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah.
unfold.
Unfold, yes.
Because if you think about it, if you, like, the way I see it is, if you have absolute certainty, not a single, what if this happens? Or maybe that could happen. If those don't exist, I feel like you're just creating a fantasy.
Ooh, that is the perfect word for that. Wow.
Because we create, we've all been there. We've created this like fantasy of how a certain situation is going to play out. This fantasy of how our life will look when we have X.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's obviously like fantasies are not real. But also like if you actually wanted to take what you most desire, the picture you've painted for your life, for yourself, if you actually want to make that a reality, guess what you have to do?
You have to do the damn
You have to
thing.
do the thing. You have to
Yeah.
take the step, even when there's doubt, even when there's
Right.
uncertainty. Like,
The problem with fantasies is when you start when you actually take action to move in that direction, whatever that thing is that you have in your head, and it doesn't the outcome that you have in your head doesn't meet reality. That's where the issue comes in.
mm-hmm.
So that's where you most likely are going to be frustrated. There's going to be this disconnect between the ideal, which is in that person's head, your head, my head, whatever it is, and reality.
Mm-hmm.
And being in that situation can be a very, I don't want to say an unhealthy thing, but it can be a very not good place to be in.
Mm-hmm.
So I hate the realistic expectations, or because that's, you know, we've had a few conversations on that.
Yes. How
But
expectations, I think expectations in general lead
yeah,
to disappointment,
exactly.
no matter how realistic they may be.
Right, right. So that's just something to keep in mind is, fantasies are not, they're just, that's what they are. They are fantasies. They're like the ideal thing, the perfect thing, but life is rarely has a perfect outcome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if that's what you're focusing on, you're literally heading straight for disappointment.
Exactly.
I mean, that's as kind as I can be about saying that.
Right.
But, you know, uncertainty in life, in my opinion, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're on the wrong path. I think that it really just means like that you're just doing something new. And there's nothing wrong with that.
The road less traveled, right?
With the traveling birds.
Yeah. So, taking something that is not as familiar,
Accepted.
mainstream, whatever word you want to use, I think that is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Isn't that the point of life?
exactly.
Like, we're literally given one life. And every single one of us, regardless of age and experience and life circumstances, we are all living life for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you are 10, you are 25, you are 55,
Or
you
you're
are
90.
85. Like, we are all experiencing life for the first time.
Mm-hmm. And that's pretty freaking cool.
It is so freaking cool. So, I mean, all that to say, like, maybe the goal isn't to figure everything out before you begin, but maybe the goal is to actually trust yourself enough to learn as you go.
I like that.
Sorry, did I catch you off guard with
Yeah,
that?
yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
I could see the like, oh, that hit kind of reaction out
Yeah,
of you.
exactly. Exactly. So, I guess this would be taking that certainty, expected outcome, and replacing that with the unknown and curiosity and just going into things with an open mind
Mm-hmm.
as whatever the outcome is. I think we have both. I think we have both done that,
Oh, definitely. I can
and
absolutely say that.
I think we've both leaned into that. I should say more and more as one as the our current lifestyle, but I think also with it all started with that trip to Pittsburgh for you.
I don't even know what year that was.
I know, right?
Too many years to do the math.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like to that point, it's just like being open, like keeping an open mind and really just letting decisions evolve as new information appears. I think that's something that probably has tripped me up in the past of thinking like the decision I make has to be like it's the decision. It's the only one. I can't stray from that decision. I can't change my mind. And that kind of mindset has never served me.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, it has kept me or like quickly put me into a place of feeling just absolutely stuck, like I have no options. Whereas when I finally had that realization of, oh, cool, so like I can make a decision and I can change my mind at any point.
And that's pretty freaking
And
cool.
that is amazing. Like, so to not let, a single decision like keep you stuck, especially if it's not serving you, especially if that decision didn't, you know, pan out to what you thought it would, and just being okay with evolving as new information, as those new experiences appear
Mm.
on that path. Like, you know, give yourself permission to not know yet. And when I say to not know yet, I mean like to not know anything. Give
To be
yourself
the beginner.
permission to be the beginner. Give yourself permission to take that first step with uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just start experiencing life, essentially.
Basically, just start.
Just do it.
Just do it. If there's one thing we'd encourage you to do after listening to this episode, it's to identify one area in your life where you've been waiting for more clarity before taking action. Not because you're reckless, not because you're supposed to make a huge decision today, just because it might be worth asking whether action is actually the thing that's missing.
Now, what this looks like in practice, you might have a project you've been thinking about starting. Maybe it's a skill you've wanted to learn or a conversation you've been putting off. It could be a goal that you've been researching for months or even a possibility you've been circling without exploring. The first thing here is to ask yourself, what information am I waiting for? And then take it a step further by asking, is that information something I can only get by taking a small step? Because sometimes the clarity you're waiting for isn't found in more thinking, it's found in movement. What's been sticking with me throughout this conversation is that so many people are waiting to feel ready before they start. Ready enough, certain enough, clear enough. And on the surface, that sounds responsible. But when I look back at the decisions that ended up shaping my life as well as our lives, I honestly don't remember feeling any of those things. I don't remember feeling completely certain when we moved from New York to Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember feeling completely certain when we sold our house in Colorado and hit the road full time in an RV.
Sure didn't.
I don't remember feeling completely certain when we started building a business. I'm saying the first business as well as the second business.
Right, exactly.
What I remember is feeling like there was something worth exploring. And that's a really important distinction. Because when people say they're waiting for clarity, I don't know if clarity is actually what they're waiting for. I think they're waiting for guarantees. The problem is that life doesn't really offer those.
And that's why so many people end up feeling stuck. Not because they aren't capable of making a decision, not because they aren't willing to work for something, but because they're trying to solve a problem that can't be solved from where they're standing. There are some things you just don't get to know ahead of time. You don't know if you'll enjoy something until you're doing it. You don't know if a path fits until you've spent some time on it. You don't know what opportunities might come from a decision until you've actually made it. A lot of the answers people are looking for aren't sitting in their heads, waiting to be discovered. They're sitting on the other side of an experience they haven't had yet. And that's really what this episode is about. Not having everything figured out before you start, just being willing to learn something you couldn't have learned by standing still.
If this episode resonated with you, a couple quick things you can do that really help us out. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss the next episode. If you haven't yet, we'd really appreciate you leaving a review. It helps more people who are feeling this way actually find these conversations.
And if someone came to mind while you were listening, send this episode to them. These are the kinds of conversations most people aren't having out loud. If this conversation resonated with you, we'd love to have you join us over on Substack. That's where we're sharing more of our thoughts on work, time, alignment, and building a life that feels intentional, not just successful on paper. We'll drop the link in the show notes.
Thank you for being here. We're Eric and Laura, and this is The Road Less Traveled with the Traveling Burns, where we have honest conversations about challenging the default path and what it really means to live differently. We'll see you in the next episode.